Indian news ma wakɔ aba assign the ba wɔn kasa fidie so bio. Na maka trust before anything else na just a share na ebiem nso kwa na wo subscribe to your channel no. What's the political news there? Never governance. We catch you sa pani put for ma yet. Na pani to for ma yet there. Ani na nsɛm foforɔ bi nso asan esi. Benim sɛ what the nsɛm ade bɛn nyinaa na ya na ya wote na ya wɔhwɛ na ya wɔfɛ nso so. Nti no nsɛm foforɔ bi asi a India news yɛn nso so pani yɛ tɔɔ for me baabi yɛ ti nyinaa akyi no yɛn nsa atumi aka bi na yɛaso nso atumi ate saa nsɛm bi. Yɛn tie nsɛm mmra sisi a na mpanimfoɔ mpo sɛ kakum no yɛkyɛ no kɔkɔɔ anum deɛ ba before that no subscribe to your channel no ɔmsa all other news ɛfa politics wɔn deɛ ɔpɛ sɛ wotie no ɛho yɛtie ba yɛbɛn baabi a susu nso pɛ so wɔde bɔde ho fa na deɛ asie biara no nso fa comment nso to aseɛ na yɛn kenkan mfama wo deɛ ɛhwɛ de nneɛma ɛkɔ yɛn tie nsɛm mmra sisi a wotie no fa comment to aseɛ ba yɛn fa nkyɛmu no nso nto aso yɛn tie mmra.
Maybe we'll start with what you're planning for next week. You aim to hit the streets in protest against the suspension of the Chief Justice. Maybe we'll start with that. First of all, how are preparations going for the demonstration?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I believe that all we have as a country is our democracy. We've witnessed retaliatory politics since 1992. People always have their reservations in one way or the other about how a government has conducted public business and all. And politicians always come onto the table with some pain. People feel that, oh, there was injustice, there was this and that. It's been happening, and I would not run away from that. But I believe that the time has come for us as a nation to look beyond that and look at legacy that will help safeguard our democracy. From where I sit, we, the two political parties, would have to be very careful because there's this social media drive by the youth with a high expectation of us. We shouldn't be too comfortable thinking that there's democracy and that is it. Also, if you look at the election results, MPP's strongest hold, Ashanti, the percentage of turnout, quite disappointing. Volta region, NDC's strongest hold, percentage, quite disappointing. The worst of it was Greater Accra. Greater Accra, where we see all the politics, 53% plus. Yeah. Not even up to 55% of turnout. What that tells me as a politician who relies on data is that there's a disconnect out there against both parties. It means that people expect us to do something new. Therefore, it becomes very repugnant for a government that has gotten such an overwhelming mandate with a resetting agenda to rather reset in a negative way. Chief Justice removal, I mean, this is a political rehearsal that started long ago. And President Mahama, as a candidate, made public statement on this, even before Tokonu. In 2022, August, when he was addressing some NDC activists, lawyers in Akosombo, was the first, attack. That was when Eni Yabua was a Chief Justice. And he said, look, they expect that the new Chief Justice will do something new and that the CJ then, had lost the plot and the judiciary was not independent and all of that. Then Tokonu came in. If you ask the petition, I've read the petitions. I mean, it will not even qualify for any consideration by any adjudicating body. They will just dismiss it. But here we are. Our Council of State has failed us. The Council of State tells us that they found a prima facie.
It was almost unanimous.
that's where the disappointment comes from. That today in Ghana, we, the political actors, where there is a challenge, I remember in the 8th Parliament, we relied on the Council of State a lot to intervene in that Parliament. They helped us a lot, both sides. Now, would I have the courage? Would I have the trust in them? Council of State, this is the Council of State we have. They call themselves Council of State. And then you make a recommendation that the woman should be suspended for what offense? It is not about her, but it's about the institution. And you bring in somebody, then the very thing that you complain about, you said it was wrong for 2 nominees who had gone through vetting to be approved by the plenary. It was wrong for 5 more to be nominated because, you think that it would amount to packing the court. But today, you have nominated 7. And in fact, their approach is very new, very novel, I should put it, because the processes that I know in the nomination of judges to the Supreme Court, it gets discussed at the Judiciary Council. And then they forward their recommendation to the president for him to do the appointment. But on this occasion, the president write directly to the acting CJ that we should go to the Judicial Council for them to expedite and then bring back. It's never the practice. So you realize that the NDC is exposing itself in terms of the double standard, the hypocrisy, all the things that they said about us, attacking us. They are repeating the same and doing it worse. Yesterday, organized labor boldly reprimanded them in the presence of the president. Just 4 months into your administration, this is not a time for institutions of state to boldly tell you in the face that you are wrong. At least you should still have your honeymoon. But yesterday, Mr. President himself was seated there. Organized labor boldly told him that, Mr. President, Galamsey is now worse than you came to meet it. 2, the judiciary, what you are doing to the Chief Justice will erode all the gains we've made in our democracy. That's what the organized labor told him. Not MPP, not CPP. So it's clear that there is no positive reset. And we have told them in Parliament that in opposition, we are ready to support you, we will constructively criticize you, but we will not obstruct you. What they are doing, they don't really care about the governance of the nation. It's about retaliatory politics. Oh, somebody did to us, we've also come to power, we have power, we'll do same. I thought that Mr. President had a legacy term. I thought that this 4 years he won, he was deputy minister, he was minister, vice president, became president for some months, got opportunity again for his own full term. He lost election, went back home for 8 years, and he has a final opportunity, 4 years. I thought that the NDC machinery would have allowed the man to make his mark and leave legacy. But with this, the hawks taking the state center stage of governance and dictating, do this is what we want. They did it to us, do it to us. But the moderates amongst them should know and remember that when we were in government, there were moderates on our side who also acted as restraining force on some excesses. Of course, we couldn't have achieved 100%. But that is the reason why, as a political class, we should work on some of these actions to make Ghana a better place, but not what we are saying.
Who is the protest against, the president or the Council of State?
The NDC government.
Okay.
Because this Council of State, the way it is constituted, clearly they constituted it with a partisan agenda.
But there are NPP members on the...
Who are those NPP members?
There aren't any NPP members on the Council of State?
Well, you should tell me. I don't know. In fact, there is no even religious representation on the Council of State. We have no Muslim leaders. We have no Christian leaders. The president in appointing members, look at the composition. There is no Christian leader. In the past, we've had Christian leaders, we've had Muslim leaders, religious leaders being part. So in critical situations like that, they would have come in with some good counsel. But this Council of States, unfortunately, they are pursuing a typical partisan agenda that, look, they want to, they have the power and they are forgetting about tomorrow. If we made mistakes,
a number of them were elected, though.
If we made mistakes,
can they all end up
if we
from
made
one
mistakes,
side?
If we made mistakes as a government, NDC should know that is the reason why they are in office today. You don't come and make the situation worse. You don't come and create the impression that it is we against them. Look at the mass dismissals. Julius Debre's letter was to the effect that those who had been recruited after the 2024 elections or but that letter was also limited to the public service, the mainstream public service and mainstream civil service. Institutions of states who are categorized as SOEs, who do not depend on the states for budgetary support, are very independent. Look, in today's Ghana, all recruitment made 7 years ago, 8 years ago, Ghanaians are being sacked, go home. You go to your office the next day, you've been given a termination letter. Maritime Authority, they are doing it. Ghana Ports, they are doing it. Ghana Water, over 60 workers, they were sent home. GRA, NHIA. Sometimes I have to call some of our colleagues. I call them, bro, why are you guys doing this? Somebody has worked for 7 years and you are sacking them. Now, the mainstream civil service, public service, teachers who were recruited and posted in classrooms teaching. For whatever reason, you say, go back home. Nurses, we need nurses in the hinterland. Then you say they should go home. Is that the positive reset agenda? Is that what Ghanaians voted for? Forgetting that these are also citizens. And let me quote Mr. Mohammed's own statement. 2017, when there was an attempt to question some recruitment, he said, look, they are all Ghanaians. Those were his words. And I've challenged my colleagues to bring proof of such mass dismissals. At least when some of these things came up, there were restraining pillars in government, and these things were not pursued. I know of Yoko, when even after 6 p.m. there were interviews after the 2016 elections, and issues came up. Eventually, Kandapa said, no, this is governance. They are being recruited into security services. It doesn't matter. They were allowed. Not a single soul was denied that opportunity. So even if it did happen yesterday, should it happen again today? Aren't we to make it better, to assure the nation that there is a new crop of politicians who will not allow hardliners and hawks and extremists to take the center space?
Mr. Afenyo Markin, I want us to stay with the Chief Justice and the
we are
Congress
there,
for a
but
moment.
they are all connecting issues. I mean, that
sure.
we need to look at as a whole.
For sure.
All of these feed into the actions that, okay, they want to have control to create two nations. The Ghana, the NDC wants, okay, and the Ghana that is for the others. So the military, they first got rid of the service chiefs. They promoted some individuals who were lower rank generals, 2-star generals. So all the seniors, about 15, had to go. And as soon as these ones also took over, the immediate thing is that, okay, all 2-star generals should go. Who does that? These are people that the state has invested in. And then they have their eye also on the judiciary. Get rid of the Chief Justice for nothing done. And then they go personal, promising, judges assuring them, if you support, you would also be favored. And I've said to the judges, today it is Tokonu. Tomorrow it may be you. So fair, though, it is their duty to be collective.
Actually got rid of the Chief Justice, have they? They've started a process, but...
But Kojo, you know, when the petition that was cooked, you know, if you call the petitioners here today, where are the petitioners? Are they ghosts? If you ask them that, can you yourself read your petition? Do you know? I pray that that day comes where this so-called committee hearing, and I pray that the hearing is done public. Though that provision in the Constitution that talks about in-camera hearing, it is if the affected individual, the CJ, says that, look, I want to waive these rights, make it public. And I think that is what we should all insist as a nation. Let the petitioners appear. Let them speak to it.
Yep,
that is when you expose
the same thing when Charlotte Osei was being removed. That in fact, when the petition was originally submitted, there were no names. The petition had no names, no signatures to it. It was later that some names were provided. Same accusation.
Kojo, I wouldn't want to leave your studio a hypocrite. I want to leave your studio consistent with the views I express. And let my conscience guide me. I have said ab initio that the time has come for us as a nation to leave behind us that era of retaliatory politics. And I gave you a history. Me sitting here, my stepdad, he was a mason foreman. He worked at Pomazi Pottery. In 1996, he was so much involved in the MPP politics. Right after the election, my stepfather was demoted and made a watchman and sent to Ankafo. Pomazi Pottery had some old equipment. He was demoted and made a watchman. He was there. At the time, I was in St. Augustine's. So my mom would come pick me, we'd go and visit the old man. And the old man was there. He said, politics inti, why am watchman? Me sitting here today, should I carry that pain? My old man, my stepdad is 81 now. My dad suffered under PNDC, a trained agro-mechanic. The nation has spent money on him. He's gone to Modena to train. PNDC regime got rid of him. He is 81 today. Should I carry the pain? So if I see Zanato, I say, it's your father's regime, that PNDC revolution that destroyed my father's career, and I still harbor that pain? No. If I see NDC, I say, my stepdad suffered because of you. Every Ghanaian, in one way or the other, has a story to tell. Look, one Supreme Court judge, he is my very good friend. And by the way, I used to practice at the Supreme Court regularly and until I got into mainstream politics. He's my very good friend. Very good friend. And sometimes we sit and have conversation. He expressed his pain about things he's gone through. When he finished, I said, my Lord, but you have to let go and move on. Okay? I'm saying that as individuals in the space, as actors, we would have our own issues. But beyond this is governance. And that is where I want the direction to be. So if I come and say, it happened to Osimesi, so why are you complaining? It's because people were not happy. That is why today we are being called upon to make it better. It's because things were not too okay. That is why you have had the opportunity. Why? Issue of Galamsey, for instance. I was quoting Setekwe yesterday. I was a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. And I remember when Tekwe met us 2014, one of his key concerns was Galamsey, affecting cocoa production. By the way, at that time, cocoa was under the Ministry of Finance. The Galamsey issue started we came in, there was high expectation. In one way or the other, the nation is of the view that we couldn't tackle it well. But we also paid the political price. Because remember that because Mr. President had said that, look, he was going to fight Galamsey, within 4 years, 2020 elections, we lost in all the mining areas, largely because